So our group will be presenting on Buddhism and sustainable economy. We have 6 members here, which is me, KENNARD. I am KENNARD. We have KHOO and FENG, AFIQAH, ALIA, and HUDA. Next slide, please. So for my point, I will be introducing what is Buddhism economy to give you the general picture first. Okay, next. So there are a few points here. A few more, you go down there. Okay, so the first point is that for Buddhist economics, it applies the divine ideologies, which is what they believe in for their religion, and the moral purpose. So you often hear about the good stuff and what they believe in. So they apply all that into the aspect of wealth. So it's what they apply on the economy. So this one, they simply focuses on 2 main points, which is simplicity and non-violence. And those things, it will help improve the quality of life that people live daily. So here's an example. An example of non-violence is that violence towards the earth. So now in modern society, right, we always use petrol. So we have to minimize violence. So that is their belief, the Buddhism belief. They have to minimize violence towards the earth. So we have to decrease the extraction of fossil fuel and also avoid global conflict over limited oil reserves. So the overall picture is that Buddhist economics, it supports friendly energy such as wind, solar, and geothermal, all those green energy that you heard of all these days. Okay, next. Okay, so how we compare Buddhist economics and the modern economies is that for the modern economies, which is most globally used right now, they assess the standard of living by volume of yearly consumption. So the modern economies, they believe that a people is having a good life if he consumes an extra amount of resources. So a good example of this will be GDP. Most countries, they measure their economy by using GDP. They calculate GDP by using, I got this from Wikipedia, is that total amount spent on final goods and service. So they calculate by how much they spend. But for Buddhist economics, we actually have to live a more conservative way. Okay, next. So it is also can be said that since we have to we go back to just now, like I said, we have to relate simplicity and non-violence. So the Buddhists, they do not utilize what is cheap, but they also focus on what tend on achieving the objective of simplicity and non-violence. So they believe in that having a work, it has to be meaningful. So they prefer not using labor-saving machinery, but they want the work to be meaningful. So they don't want it to be just the same thing you repeat every day, so you don't have to use that labor-saving machinery. Next. So Buddhism economics, they are not materialistic. They believe that wealth and properties will not last. Therefore, attachment to this, they will lead to suffering. Buddhist economics also perceive poverty, which is an immoral element that leads to violence and stealing. Therefore, we need to learn how to earn wealth and maintain the belief of right livelihood and contemplation of generosity. Right, next. Press next again. Okay. So there are few countries that have. Here are the examples of countries that have implemented Buddhist economy, which is Kingdom of Bhutan. It's located in South Asia. It's a country that uses Buddhism economics as its main idea of economics. So they use something called GNH, Gross National Happiness, to measure the economy instead of GDP, which is what most country do. So what is GNH? National happiness is a collective happiness and well-being of the population. So basically, they take the population, they measure, they take surveys of are they happy or not, and how are they living? Are they living good or in bad conditions? I think that's all. So I'll pass to my friend. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about Buddhist perspective on sustainable economy development. Okay, there are at least two important areas in which Buddhist teaching could be contribute to a sustainable economy. Okay, the first one is the moral discipline. Okay, in this area, the market economy seems to be quite indifferent as long as the activity is legal. So, as long as the business is legal for Buddhists, so it will consider as moral discipline. So, because morality is the core to Buddhist worldview and is evaluated by its governors. So to serve their best interests, Buddhist economists advocate a life based on moral discipline. So when the mind and the body are not diluted, they can achieve sustainable happiness and freedom. The second is the selflessness. Okay, where the market economy focus on self as the operating entity, but the Buddhists teach that there is no real entity independent of other conditions. So their happiness and well-being are inseparable from those of our past, present, and future generations. Okay, even our natural environment and the whole ecosystem. So from the Buddhist perspective, we should abandon the solo mentality and see other problems as our problems, embrace their challenge as our challenge. That's all.
Alright, next will my turn. Alright, now I'm going to talk about the contribution of Buddhism on sustainable economy. Alright, next. So the first contribution of Buddhists will be the contribution on environment. So the Buddhists place a special importance on the health of the world of the natural environment. So because in Buddha we all respect all forms of life and the sanctity of the natures. Hence they will prefer to protect against the deforestation and to try to protect the earth as well as they can, as the best they can. Alright, and next click. Alright, so actually there's a Buddhist statement that was being posted on before the 2015 Paris Climate Talk. So actually it's from the Australian Buddhist community, and then they post this statement and then to urge the world leader in the Paris that they all meet together to discuss about the environment. So actually they urge the leaders to reduce the mining and also reduce the use of coal and other fossil fuel. So this is to reduce the damage to the earth and also to encourage the use of renewable energy such as solar energy and also wind energy and all those. Alright, so this is one of the contribution of Buddhists on the environment. Alright, so next. And then the next contribution will be on the wealth and poverty, because we know that in order to maintain the sustainable economy, we have to reduce the gap between the wealth and also the poverty. So actually Buddhism teach that all the human beings should be display compassion to each other as a part of global community. So this means Buddhism will try to help the poor whenever it's possible. So and then they think it's a great opportunity for the generosity if someone have the wealth, so they can give the poor with help them more and also to help them give them job and other stuff. So this is also one of the Buddhism that contribute on the wealth and poverty, so they can make the world more peaceful and also less poor people. Yeah, that's all for me.
So for the differences between traditional and Buddhist economy, next, there are 5 different strategy between Western and Buddhist economy to achieve sustainability. So first, for Western economic, they maximize profit by doing business based on individuals, self-interested, profit maximizing way. While Buddhism suggests an alternative way to maximize suffering of all sentient beings, including humans and non-human beings. Like Buddhism practices the goal of economic activities is not to produce gain, but to decrease losses. And second, maximize desire. Western economic, they cultivate the desire, while the Buddhist strategy suggests not to multiply but to simplify our desire. This is because wanting less could bring substantial benefit for the person and also benefit for the community and nature and also to the economy. And for third, maximize market. Okay, Western economy, the aims to introduce market, whatever social problems should be solved, while Buddhism, non-violence is the main guiding principle of Buddhism for solving social problems to prevent doing action directly causing suffering for oneself or another. And it also to urge to find solution by a participative way. And it also states that by achieving sustainability of economy and also non-violence, there requires the introduction of small scales, locally adaptable, culturally diverse market system. And then the fourth point, which is the maximized instrumental use. In Western economic, the value of an entity, whether it be human, object or anything else, it's determined by its marginal contribution to the production output. While Buddhism strategy is to have the realizations of genuine responsibility and the employment of sympathy in business cares. And it also can achieve sustainability in form commitments among the owners, manager, and other subcontractors, which are good for our economy. And then the last, the self-interest. The Western economic men, they are allowed, to consider the interests of others only if it serves his or her own interests. While in Buddhism, they stated that human beings are behaving generously even in their own expense, as they always give more than they get, whether it's good or bad. So according to the mentioned 5 differences, I think it's clear that Buddhism economic strategy is the opposite of the Western economic system, as it is minimizing the framework. So I think Buddhism economic practice can be employed by anyone, regardless his or her religious background, as it is not a dogmatic system but a strategy with the realizations of the 5 principles and also economy. Okay, thank you.
So our friends has my problem, so we move on to the next topic first, and then we'll come back later. Now is Buddhist way of sustainable development.
Okay, so now I'm presenting the Buddhist way of sustainable development. Next. Okay. So Buddhist theories and practices actually focusing on inner happiness, where they believe that when they apply inner happiness, it will resulting in well support of holistic sustainable economy and development. And also for human to understand their role in nature, the important basic they need is they should realize that he is just merely part of nature, which means when they fully understand they is only a part of nature, they will not do as they like and will preserve the earth. Next. So Buddhists actually practices this Pancasila as advocated by the Buddha. The Pancasila has these 5 points, which is to abstain from killing and harm any living being. The second is to abstain from frivolous speech or falsity. The third, to abstain from any evil lustful conduct in lapse of brahmacharya practice by body, by speech, and by mind. And the fourth is to abstain from stealing or taking which is not given. And the last one is to abstain from intoxicating drinks and narcotic drugs. So as what we can see from this practice of Pancasila is it is socially strong and it directly benefited the nature and human themselves. Next. And lastly, the main thing in the ethical teachings of Buddhism is they ask us to purify the mind, to control our desire. When our desire was controlled, we just take what we need, and at the same time, we preserve our earth and develop our society and economy in a sustainable way. That's all. So I pass to AFIQAH.
So we will move back to the Buddhist and the transformation of sustainable economies.
So I'll be presenting to cover AFIQAH because she has a mic problem. So for Buddhism and the transformation to sustainable economies. Next. So the first in the noble truth, dukkha or suffering, is seen to be fundamental condition of human reality. For the second words is the prevalence of dukkha or pervasive dissatisfaction has significant economic consequences because it is associated with the existence of an eternal gap between what people want and the satisfaction they receive. Next. And then to create a sustainable economic system, Buddhism contribution is to creating a sustainable economic system that can be identified in production, consumption and lifestyles and many supporting aspects of the socio-economic system. And one major change in production aspect for the Buddhist-inspired sustainable economy, BICE, would be the consumer sovereignty effect of an automatic shift towards the production of minimum intervention goods and services as a response to changes in the nature and level of demands as outlined in the previous section. Next. So I think that's all from us. Thank you.